Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why LeVar Ball is destroying his son's career with the Lakers.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why I'm expecting a big week out of Tiger Woods at the U.S. Open. Speak for yourself. We got new peeps on the show today.
We do. We're going to talk some golf. We're going to talk some football starting out. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Super Bowl champion Greg Jennings and Fox Sports commentator and legendary broadcaster Tim Brando. First time on Speak for Yourself. All right, let's start in New England, where the Patriots offseason keeps getting stranger, with Bill Belichick canceling the rest of this week's voluntary OTAs. Tom Brady and Gronk weren't even there this week, and it's not the first time Belichick has ended OTAs early. But as we all know, it's been a tumultuous offseason for the Patriots. Cowherd, is Belichick's decision here a big deal?
I feel like it is. When you get to the end, near the end of something, could be a relationship, could be a job, you just don't argue over the little stuff. You just let little stuff go. It's not your issue. We've all been in relationships, jobs, we've all moved around, teams. You don't fight for the big thing. You don't fight for little stuff in your last week on a job. Belichick's not fighting anymore. He's canceling OTAs.
Two of them.
I mean, you can't tell me this is just not a thing. This is the guy whose mantra is no days off.
Yeah, I saw the clip you played on your radio show and it was perfect. They won the Super Bowl and he's shouting about no days off. They lost the Super Bowl. They've lost 5 or 6 key players, and everybody across the NFL that can take a little pot shot at him is taking one about him being no fun. And Tom Brady is clearly doing a little silent protest to Bill Belichick, and he's just like, all right, let's try. He's trying to adapt, trying to have a little fun.
Yeah.
The only solution, though, to me, is to address the Malcolm Butler situation. They'd rather have that than days off.
That's the elephant in the room, the Malcolm Butler situation, because the other guys didn't know. And I will tell you, from a standpoint of just knowing these guys, meeting with coaches before games, the kind of opportunities that I get with access, Bill Belichick is as good a guy as you'd ever want to be around in preparation for a game. Problem with Bill is he won't tell you anything. He'll tell you great stories. Let me tell you about Dad when he was at Navy. He's into that. But the issue is, this time around, Tom Brady is giving a silent protest of sorts. And I do think that the Garoppolo thing, even, going back to that, one after the other after the other. And how important is this time of year, Greg? Yesterday, Drew Brees, after their first minicamp day, flew to do a speaking engagement in my hometown and then flew back because he knew Sean Payton wanted him there. Okay, so it's a big deal for players, even noteworthy players, to be there. So I think there's something going on.
It's important, but the Drew Brees situation is a little different because it was during minicamp.
Yep.
When you're talking about OTAs, it's important, but I don't see this as a big deal. When you're looking at the last few days of OTAs, their last installments, their review days of everything that you've already installed. The offense and the defense have already been installed. You've run them in their days of preparation and practice. So now these last 2 days are really sharpen up days that a lot of times teams have a paintball day. Mm-hmm. They'll load the buses up. The guys are expecting that bone to be thrown, if you will. So it's not a big deal. However, it is a big deal because it's the New England Patriots, and because this is something that we have not been accustomed to seeing, them being in the tabloids for all sorts of things regarding their player, coaches, alike. You know,
it's interesting. Bob Kraft has always cared about image. He's very slick. He's the best dressed owner. The open collar, he's in LA all the time. TMZ cameras, he stops to talk. His dress, his mannerisms. Meek Mill, he's aware of what people are seeing. Now, Bill forever was hoodie. Snarky with the press. I mean, literally doesn't care about image. You know what this tells me? Bob Kraft has said, listen, we got a year left of Tommy. You got to.
Worlds colliding?
Yeah. You've got to sell your image a little bit.
Yeah.
Bill is now, Kobe Bryant's at practice. Fenway Park. Cancel OTA.
Yeah.
Kraft has always been about image is a part of it.
Yeah.
Bill's
You
going
keep going, though, we're in Brady's last year. I just wonder if we're not in Belichick's last year.
I think we could be.
And more than Brady's last year. Look, just the whole Josh McDaniels, and I know they haven't announced it, but he's the head coach in waiting. That's a dramatic difference. The fact that he turned down the Colts to stick with the Patriots is a clear indication to me that he's the head coach in waiting. That's new. Bill Belichick is a guy, one voice represents this team, and now he's having to share it with Josh McDaniels to some degree. I just think everything's different here, and Belichick's actually the one on the way out. At Buffalo Wild Wings, we'll admit that we often go overboard with our limited time offerings. We just can't help ourselves. Take our new signature sampler. For $15, you get wings and 3 shareable options like fried pickles or cheese curds. Then there's our aptly named over-the-top nachos, a literal mountain of crispy tortilla chips loaded with your choice of pulled pork or honey barbecue grilled chicken, corn, jalapenos, and more. Then top it all off with our new platinum margarita. Go overboard with us today at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Available for a limited time while supplies last. Please drink responsibly.
All right, to Baltimore, where it hasn't taken long for Lamar Jackson to abandon the quarterback or bust stance he adopted during the draft, lining up at different positions during Ravens practices this offseason. Now, during the combine, Lamar made it clear he had no interest in moving to wide receiver, even refused to run the 40 to make his point. Whitlock, is this proof that Lamar botched the lead up to the draft?
1,000%. And I'm about to do something that's illegal in major media, mainstream media today. I'm going to try to give a black kid some more good advice because he took some horrible advice before the draft. And people tried to say, hey, man, go ahead and run the 40. Show off your best gift. Acknowledge that you're willing to play other positions. How many millions of dollars did this kid and his mother and all the people gassing him up with bad advice, anybody that questioned the decisions he was making was a racist or an idiot, and how dare you question Lamar Jackson? If he had said from the outset, I'm willing to play other positions early in my career, he may have been the 15th pick or the 12th pick, or who knows if he had run the 40 and created that excitement. His teammates are now screaming, oh, we got a baby Michael Vick. Where did Michael Vick go in the draft? #1 overall. That's a lot of money he just threw away to be the 32nd pick. And look, he's going to make good money, but he threw away a lot of money.
Colin, he's a really good kid. I had the good fortune of getting to cover him in college, and I don't think there's any question he's a really solid guy. But that doesn't mean that the people around you are solid guys. And maybe you do take some bad advice, and maybe you don't do what you should be doing. My point on this was watching what Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton decided not to do when they passed on him.
They couldn't get a hold of him, Tim.
As a potential backup for Drew Brees, who's about to turn 40, Lamar Jackson has all the goods that a guy like Sean Payton would love to dabble with, would love to play with. That's the kind of guy you would possibly want to have.
Called him 7 times.
When they
didn't get a return call.
When they passed on him, that told me, what? How could this be going on? Because he made perfect sense for down the road. Nobody better to work under than Drew. Drew's not going to play Tom Brady on that kid. And ultimately, I think Ozzie just did what he felt he needed to do. And I agree with you, by the way. I don't think it's the right place for him. John Harbaugh's just trying to make it look good for Flacco's sake. To say, hey, we'll make you play together now.
Let me argue for Lamar Jackson, though. I wish he would have run the 42.
Yep.
Listen, if God gave you tools, show them off. It doesn't matter if it's the brain.
He can run.
He hide my good looks.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it'd be crazy.
But let me defend Lamar on this. Deshaun Watson, a year before he came out, said, hey, I'm not a running quarterback. I'm going to be a pocket guy. And what he was doing is what leaders do. They verbalize their mission. All you GMs out there, no. I'm going to sit in the pocket and throw darts. I can run, but that's what I do. I loved it. Lamar Jackson said, listen, I'm going to be a quarterback because leaders talk. I have not heard the kid at Buffalo talk.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's Marcus Mariota. He's nonverbal at a verbal position. Lamar told you, you got to draft me to be a quarterback. If you don't give me that, don't draft me. I like that. Now,
Cost
the mom,
money.
No, the mom thing, odd, won't run the 40, didn't like it. But I'm going to back a kid who there's a reason Warren Moon had to go to Canada. There have been stereotypes with the athletic quarterback, and he said, time out.
Michael Vick, #1, Cam Newton, #1.
Well, Michael Vick is better.
That's in the past.
Yeah, but I think Michael Vick was an all-time unique talent. I think Lamar's a little bit of a project. A little bit of a project.
Look, I side with you on this, Colin. I think that when you when you step out and say, this is who I am, this is who I'm expecting you to use me as and what to use me as a quarterback, that sets the precedent. That doesn't mean that when I get in-house, I'm not going to utilize my assets to the value of the team. That means nothing once I get in the building. To your point, I think the team that he had around him hurt him more than anything. Him not running the 40, in my opinion, probably was most detrimental because that's your number one asset. Your speed, your agility, your ability to extend plays, get outside the pocket. You're not supposed to shun from that. You showcase that.
Of course.
And so his lack of wanting to showcase that because of fear of potentially being sought at or seen as this versatile slash guy, receiver, slash halfback, all these other different opportunities, it would have benefited him, but to Colin's point, he set a precedent. This is who I'm going to be.
But what do you make of the spin now, though, fellas, from Harbaugh? Oh, well, what if we put two guys out there that can both pass the ball? I don't know if I'm Lamar Jackson that's necessarily what I want to hear. And if I'm Joe Flacco, I don't think that's what I want to hear.
That's an interesting point. I just want to go back to the money that he cost himself here, Greg. You get one shot at being drafted, and you know better than anybody. You went in the second round. Once you're slotted lower than what your talents are, you're always playing catch-up financially.
Absolutely.
A guy at the top of the draft that didn't pay as much, didn't perform at your level, might still end up making more money. Lamar Jackson has cost himself money. His mother and all the media that gave him bad advice. Because here's something, and this is where I would put a little blame on NFL people. They should have known the guy would play other positions because there's no competitor that wants to stand on the sidelines when they can be on the field.
And that's my point. When you get in-house, what you've said, that goes, I don't care about, that goes out the window now. Because now it's about, I want to play. If I recognize that I'm not going to play at the number one spot that I thought I should, then what's next?
I don't think he lost as much as you think. Remember, the last quarterback to make a fortune with the old CBA was, I think, either Jamarcus Russell or Sam Bradford. I think it was Bradford.
It might be.
Then they reworked the CBA because you can't pay a rookie that much money. It's not as daunting now. I sat in the Chargers draft room. I'm not going to tell you what they said, but there were about 8 guys that were going to go top 8 to 10. He wasn't in that group. So he went last pick in the first round. Even if he'd have said, I'll do anything, he wasn't going top 8.
Yeah.
If he had run the 40 and said, I'll do anything, I don't know, man. That's a game changer.
In your world, he may have gone 12th.
No.
12th to 32nd.
That dude runs a 4.27 and says, I'll do anything.
But he doesn't.
Somebody may take him number 5.
There were a lot of good players in this first round. I mean, you're going to take him above Derwin James at Florida State?
4.27. The dude's won the Heisman Trophy. You've seen him electric when he has the football. His teammates on the Baltimore Ravens, a good defensive team, are sitting out there like, oh, my God, this is Vic 2.0.
There's something about that 40. That 40 carries a lot of weight.
I'm with Jason on that. I am.
There's a reason I wear tight shirts. I want people to see that my gifts. You know what I mean? You got to show off your gifts. All right, let's move to the NFL. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have had no shortage of drama this offseason. And not surprisingly, some of it centered around the gifted Antonio Brown. The star wide receiver skipped voluntary OTAs, but showed up to minicamp this week armed with an interesting explanation.
I can't go nowhere and work out by myself. Fans come meet me at the field. You know, I can't do nothing normal. You know, you guys write about me every day. My mom, my kids see it. So we have to deal with these type of things, you know. And I started to think to myself, am I really free? You know, I can't really express myself in this game. I can't really tell you guys how I feel. You guys make the pressure to put pressure on me all the time. Am I really free? You know, and I go to asking myself that, being in regards to taking away time from my kids and everything that's going on. So I had to get away to, you know, free my mind.
All right, interesting. Whitlock, is Antonio as big a distraction as Odell Beckham Jr. in New York?
I don't know if he's as big a distraction, but he's moving that direction. He's just as silly, that explanation he just gave. Here's a guy that does Facebook Lives from playoff games and is all over social media trying to draw attention to himself, showboats on the field trying to make a spectacle of himself, but it's all the media's fault. He can't go anywhere, and he's not really free. He's Meek Brown. And he's not. I mean, it's silly. And yes, he wants to be as big a distraction as Odell Brown, and he's working his way. Odell Beckham, he's working his way that direction.
I don't think he is, and I'll tell you why. Because the New York Giants, if they were a clothing store, they're Brooks Brothers. They are conservative, blue blood, older fan base. Odell Beckham stands out. He's whizzing on the end zone. He's proposing to a net. He is off-brand. I got to be honest with you. The Steelers brand is a lot of noise. Todd Haley screaming at Big Ben. Big Ben is a little bit of a drama king. Le'Veon Bell's funny, but he wants this. Antonio Brown, even Juju Smith-Schuster. He's the most he's funny. He's all over social media.
Juju's great. He laid out perfect. I love him.
Odell Beckham turned into the honey badger when he went pro. The honey badger actually went conservative when he went pro. I mean, think about that. The image change. The image change of Odell Beckham. I mean, when he was in college, this was a straight arrow. He and Jarvis Landry on either side, good guys, really leaders, never thought of any issues whatsoever. I mean, I did several of their games, got to know him well, and I know Odell's parents. I mean, these are...
Odell on the same level, Antonio Brown on the same level as Odell in terms of distraction.
Well,
in terms of
only because he's in Pittsburgh rather than New York. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, there's absolutely... If you think for 1 second that you're not free playing in Pittsburgh, that is a walk in the park compared to what you're going to go through in New York. And by the way, that's why Eli was the better quarterback for New York than Peyton would have been. Peyton needed to be in Indianapolis because he would probably react differently as a younger player, you know?
I think Pittsburgh's new vibe is we talk a lot. It's a little, I think Mike Tomlin is very emotion-driven. He's kind of Pete Carroll. It's like players are empowered, players talk.
You like that honey badger thing.
Brown is
like
no distraction, man. He's no distraction. This is typical wide receiver.
Diva stuff?
Diva flash.
Okay.
And for
You didn't do this, Greg.
I didn't. I was a different type of guy. Like I'm
working on him in television.
I was more
I'm
of the
trying to get
Larry
him to become a diva.
Fitzgerald, Andre Johnson, just keep your mouth shut, do your job type of guy.
Yeah.
When I look at Antonio Brown, and I listen, AB, like I want to 100% support him, but his explanation kind of threw me for a loop when he's extremely flashy. Like, you've caused attention to be drawn to yourself by not even some of the things you say, just the things that you do, the cars you drive, the outfits you wear, the things that you do are going to cause attention drawn to you. But for us to say that he's as big of a distraction as Odell Beckham, he's not. And here's why I say he's not, because Odell Beckham came into this league and he made a splash immediately. First round, 12th overall pick, and made a splash first couple years, record book setting. Antonio Brown didn't even touch the football field outside of special teams really until his third year in the league. So it kind of evolved over time, and he's always smiled. He's always done things the right way. So when he does anything that's diva-ish, we're gonna put a microscope on it and a flashlight on it because it's Antonio Brown, the best receiver in football.
When we do word association, when I think of Odell Beckham, I think one-hand catch, kicking net, boat.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Playoff drops.
Okay, when I think of Antonio Brown, I'm like, catches against Jacksonville, one-hander.
Right.
I think football stuff.
Football player.
It's all football.
I think a little Facebook Live in the locker room. You think about that. You think about all the dancing and gyrating on the field. You think about a guy that's always trying to push the envelope. What cleats can I wear with little messages on them? To me, he's a better player than Odell Beckham.
By the way, Colin, the reason why you think what you think about him is because he's in Pittsburgh, where it is all about football. Pittsburgh's about the Steelers.
Yeah.
That's it. In New York, it's about usually all the drama before the game is played. And the Giants are fighting for, even though they're the Giants and they are clearly the kingpin franchise, there are so many other franchises. There's Yankees. You're having to share the limelight with a lot of people. In Pittsburgh, he should own that place. And this notion that, I'm not free. And please, stop. Let's go to Media 101 from the NFL. They have a little clinic for that before you get into the league. You're not going to make your point by saying it that way.
I just don't want to. I don't want either one of these guys to change who they are and what they do. This is why they are special, because of who they are and what they. If Odell Beckham
aren't why they're special.
If Odell Beckham stops doing all the one-handed catches and putting on the show pregame, the fans aren't getting. It's like Steph Curry in pregame. The fans get there just to see that.
Yeah. Steph Curry's got championships. This time of year brings us two things: graduations and Father's Day, and the gifts that go along with them. Before you buy Dad another tie or that grad a balloon that will probably float away, ask yourself this: does my dad or grad like wings or sports, or better yet, both? If the answer is yes, then get them a Buffalo Wild Wings gift card. Right now, if you purchase $30 worth or more in-store or online, they'll give you a $5 bonus to keep for yourself. That's a gift that gives back. How generous of you. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Terms and conditions apply. All right, welcome back. We're joined now by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to the Ball family, who are making things interesting for the Lakers once again, with Lonzo dropping a diss track aimed at teammate Kyle Kuzma this week that reportedly had Lakers brass doing a double take. Naturally, LeVar didn't make things better, telling Colin on the Herd yesterday that Lonzo and Kuzma aren't that close.
I can't be close if you're telling me, hey, LeVar, and you talk all craziness, hey, I like you. Now, wait a minute, I'm going to come, hey, the ball in me going to allow me to get in the rage. And that's what it did. But it's not going to affect Lonzo's plan or nothing like that.
But he and Kyle are not that close.
Well, I wouldn't be that close. He just met him.
They're not that. You're saying they're not.
I'm saying they're not that close to me. You can't be that close. You just met this guy.
All right, Cowherd, did LeVar hurt Lonzo's relationship with the Lakers?
No, I think Lonzo has to be culpable. Okay, Lonzo's a smart player. Okay, he plays with a kind of sophisticated sense of get the ball up. People like to play with him. Okay, you're doing diss track stuff with a teammate. You're part of this video. By the way, you didn't come off a Ben Simmons year, a Jason Tatum year, a Donovan Mitchell year. You came off a year where half the people on this set were calling you a bust 2 months in. You got to be aware here. You got to know you can do this stuff. Westbrook's got an MVP. Durant's got finals. You are, in the eyes of a lot of people, an enigma, a mystery, and still potentially a bust.
A daddy's boy.
Lonzo's got to own some. You can't blame LeVar for all this stuff. Lonzo's now a grown man. You got to own some of this.
I would agree, but I eventually blame LeVar because an apple doesn't fall far from a tree. And so what you're looking at is a pretty good reflection of LeVar. And LeVar came on your show yesterday, and I kind of thought the Kuzma-Lonzo thing was just a joke between friends. And then hearing LeVar, I say, well, hold on, maybe there is something to it. Because if you remember right, when LeVar criticized Luke Walton, Kuzma was Luke Walton's biggest defender. At the end of the year, Kuzma was the guy that said on the record that, hey, I think LeVar made it hard on his son early in his career with all the hype. And so I think if there's an issue here, LeVar's got a problem with Kuzma. The son is so attached to his dad that he's got a problem with Kuzma to some degree.
It's possible LeVar might have a problem with Kuzma. Kuzma was on my podcast a month ago. He said he and Lonzo were very tight, that was his best friend on the Lakers. And if you look at them on social media, this is what they do. They go back and forth at each other. That's why I asked the question. I was like, are y'all cool? Because on the outside, you might not know, is this joking around or what? He said that's his best friend. That's what they do. They joke with each other.
Pac and Biggie were friends.
Well,
seriously, at one point.
Look, I don't know this for a fact. I think LeVar may not know how close they are. He said, how can he be close? He just met him. So he's not around him. They're around each other every day. I think LeVar looks at close as LiAngelo and Melo and Lonzo. Family. Everything's about family with them. They're not that close, but I think these two are close. The one problem I see potentially is the diss track when he said, you don't know your daddy, you getting son. Now, my guess is that Lonzo thought he was being clever, and it was kind of a clever line. You don't know your daddy, but now you getting son. The question is, how does Kuzma take it? That's the one. Now, he might, if he takes it seriously, we got a problem.
From a different zip code to me, that never landed well in my zip code.
That would never be.
No, I looked at it. It didn't. I thought it was. As soon as I heard it, it made me cringe.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you look at the way he put the words together.
Yeah.
That was clever, but no.
So we don't know when LeVar was on your show and he was talking about all this nonsense with Kuzma and. Was that coming from the locker room? Is this coming from Lonzo? Do we know if Lonzo's saying, we're just friends on social media? I just wonder, this is so unbecoming of the Lakers franchise. Remember, 3 years ago, D'Angelo Russell got into that whole thing with Nick Young and that female rap artist, and it was just like Iggy Azalea.
Used to be my neighbor, by the way.
That's good information.
It was a mess.
That's a disaster. I mean, we're talking about the Lakers, the marquee franchise in NBA history, and you got social media nonsense, you got rap track disses. We think Lonzo could be out of town, right? And LeBron's coming in. Do you think LeBron, who just saw his teammate, J.R. Smith, throw soup at a coach, wants to deal with LeVar Ball and Lonzo Ball and diss tracks?
Listen, this was my take yesterday. It's not everything, but it's something. Listen, LeBron doesn't like playing with young guys. Jason, he had a chance to Wiggins. He's like, no, I'll take the less athletic Kevin Love. That Miami team, Battier, Miller, Ray Allen, that was an old folks' home. He doesn't like young guys. These young guys look even younger doing this diss track stuff. We have a history and a precedent with LeBron.
I know
he likes veterans.
A lot of these NBA guys have gone off and done rap albums and movies, Shaq. They had accomplished something. Lonzo Ball wasn't even first team all rookie. Okay? He was pretty bad, 30%.
Kobe did his rap album pretty early. And I'm not comparing him to Kobe. Okay. I'm just saying, to me, I don't have a problem with them doing a rap video or whatever. You got a ton of free time as a player, and you use it how you want. As long as it doesn't affect your game, you're still working on it. Like I said, to me, there's one potential problem. The line about Kuzma's dad.
I think there's two potential problems. The line about Kuzma's dad, and then I thought the whole dissecting the rap lyrics, I thought it was all a reflection of things that LeVar potentially could say. Because the whole thing about the tattoos. No, the tattoos. Because I've heard a lot of guys that are fathers, any of these kids that don't have fathers, they tat themselves up because they're looking for an identity.
You know who has a tattoo now?
Yeah, I know.
Lonzo and LiAngelo.
And he was on record yesterday on Colin's show. He doesn't like tattoos or whatever. And so I just thought a lot of that diss, and then talking about how he doesn't know his daddy is, it seemed a little personal. It was out of bounds, and it's a reflection of LeVar.
By the way, Kyle Kuzma was supposed to dump. Is that what the kid
said?
He was going to
drop today.
Drop.
There it is.
Drop.
Sorry, he was going to drop his diss track today. He hasn't.
I bet you his advisors are like, look.
Move on.
And hold on, but more than that, if he doesn't, that could signify he's taking this seriously. That it's not a joke to him, right?
It never lands well. The joke about someone's father, that never.
For the Warriors, who celebrated their latest championship with a parade in Oakland yesterday, the title marks the second now for Kevin Durant since he joined the Warriors. And this one was even easier than last year's, which, according to former NBA player Jared Dudley, hasn't been great for Durant's image.
When KD won, even KD said, hey, even KD in an interview said, hey, I was looking for validation. I was looking for it after winning out. And overall, I still felt empty. I think I don't want to say those are exact quotes, but you got to look at the article he had and saying that how he thought that winning a championship would fill a void, but it didn't. And the reason why the championship didn't fill a void is because it came so easy.
That's interesting. Would you respect KD more if he left the Warriors?
Let me give you the quote in context where KD said, I needed that validation from my peers and teams and GMs, people that are really into the game, to really help me feel good about myself and help me feel confident and let me know that what I was doing was working. I think Jared Dudley made a great point. I think that was on your radio show. I think he made a great point. And I do think if he wants that ultimate validation, if he wants to be on LeBron's level, he needs to choose a harder path than cherry-picking a couple of titles off a 73-9 team.
I don't know. You don't leave unity and winning Man, listen, the easier way.
There was.
My whole life, I've been trying to find an easier way to make money. Do I need validation? By the way, TV's a lot easier than writing another column for the Kansas City Star. You seem to be making more money working less. You don't go on road trips. You go to steakhouses.
Let me say this. If they would pay me what I can make in TV to write, I'd be writing.
Yeah, but they don't, so you get on TV. I think easier. What's wrong with easier?
No, Colin Whitlock's right. Kevin Durant needs to go to Orlando and win a title, and then, I'll be impressed with Kevin Durant. Is that where we're headed?
No,
He's got to go to like Charlotte? I mean, no, guys, seriously. We need to look at this from sacrifice. And I know you're going to laugh when you hear this, but Kevin Durant was the man in OKC. Took all the shots, won 4 scoring titles.
Not all the shots.
He had to sacrifice a lot of his game. Fewer minutes, fewer shots, and play better defense. He averaged career highs in assists and blocks this year, playing with the Warriors. He had to sacrifice his offense and find other parts of his game to improve as an overall player.
If you
love
with
what
the Warriors, you'd have career highs too.
Look, first of all, it was my radio show. I like the way you took credit.
It was both. I mean, you had him on later.
Okay, all right. It's a matter of degrees. When LeBron James won 2 rings in Miami, everybody gave him respect and praise. But he goes to Cleveland, wins 1, and that one meant more to everybody. If you were dating Tamron Hall, we give you mad respect, but we said, but she ain't Halle Berry. He ain't.
Yeah.
Now, it would be like, oh, Halle might be better, but you still good with Tamron Hall. And Durant is still good. Okay.
Reverse.
All right, whatever. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Durant is still good he gets respect, okay, 2 rings. But there's no doubt, if he went back this summer to Oklahoma City and won the title there, you're going to tell me it wouldn't be even greater. That 1 title in OKC wouldn't be more impressive.
Well, wait,
than
are you going to let him in OKC have free reign of the roster the way LeBron said, okay, I'll take Kevin Love. We got Kyrie Irving.
LeBron was 1 move.
Yeah, he orchestrated it all.
That team still wasn't as good as Golden State. But they got over the hump, and they got a ring.
By the way,
whatever it meant, it's degrees.
Draymond Green?
All rings are not created equal. That's all I'm saying.
Baseball players wouldn't sacrifice a nickel.
Why are we bringing baseball in?
Because Kevin Durant is like, I'll give up money and points.
We don't talk
Winning
about
is not as big in baseball because it's so dependent on so many other players.
I look at Kevin Durant sacrifice money, shots, the ball. What about those sacrifices?
All we're saying, I don't think you're saying these don't mean anything. He gets mad respect and praise for winning these 2. I'm just saying if he won 1 elsewhere where he didn't have Steph and Draymond and Clay, and they hadn't won a championship right before him, he would get even more.
Kevin Durant and Dirk Nowitzki have very similar games. Who do you respect more?
Me, Dirk.
Well, Durant's just a better player.
Come on, Jim.
He's just a better
He said
player.
respect. He didn't say who was the better player. He said who I respect more. Dirk Nowitzki.
You know the man spent 8 years next to Russell Westbrook? Nobody can spend
Hold on,
that long.
stop acting like that's torture. Russell Westbrook's a Hall of Famer, please.
Oh,
Relax.
But
They
by the
got
way,
to the NBA
he'll be in
Finals.
his own wing. Time for our U.S. Open report, presented by DraftKings, which tees off tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern right here on FS1. We're all waiting to see how Tiger Woods fares at Shinnecock Hills. Since coming back, Tiger has outperformed expectations, notching 2 top 10 finishes in 9 tourneys, while missing only 1 cut. Whitlock, what's more likely this week? Tiger finishes in the top 10 or implodes and misses the cut?
I'm a Tiger Woods homer. I think it's more likely that he misses the cut than finishes in the top 10. He's had these slow starts on Thursday. U.S. Open, if you get off to a slow start, I just think it builds and builds on itself. We saw him at the Memorial. His putter drove him crazy. The U.S. Open's not a place to be struggling with your putter. And then I think the other aspect is going to be, and I saw them talking about this morning on some golf coverage we had this morning, Tiger's ego drives him to use the driver, I think, a little more than he should be at this point in his career. He wants to compete with those young guys and show how far he can still hit the ball. If he lets ego drive him, this could be a disaster.
It does feel, though, and I'm going to let Tim would know a lot more about this. It does feel like the meltdown stage is done. Like, I think emotionally, he's in a better spot. I don't think his body's ever going to be what it was 12 years ago. But there was a ugly stage with Tiger where, like, he was quitting tournaments. Like, emotionally, if he'd cut, my back hurts. I feel like that's done.
Chambers Bay, he quit in the middle of the second
I
round.
Feel like,
shot an 80.
I feel like the meltdown.
2015.
Now, I don't know how the course.
But
How does the course work for his game?
Not well. And now, granted, it's the couple of things you need to remember. This is not the 2004 setup. The fairways have been widened by about 20 yards. The closely mown areas behind the greens with slopes, there used to be fescue within about 5 to 10 feet off of those par threes, okay? That's been cut down. This is more of a short game guy's golf course, which to me begs the question, why is this what we're talking about as opposed to Phil Mickelson having a course setup that's absolutely perfect for him to finally conquer the Grand Slam and at 48 years of age, pull off the unthinkable. It would be close to Jack Nicklaus in '86 at the Masters. It would be better than Jack Nicklaus at the Masters because he's 48 and the U.S. Open is a much more difficult golf course to play, typically, than Augusta National would be. But I think Tiger, his personal comeback is greater than his professional comeback right now. I do think he's going to win a tournament again. I do think he could win another major. It's just not going to be this one and not right now.
Yeah, I think as much as I love Tiger and would love to see him win, I think I would side with Jason and him missing the cut simply because of what I've seen, his body of work. When he's playing well, he's free, he's smiling. We're seeing that big Tiger smile up and down the course. And when he's fighting for his life, trying to get back into position, it's not there. And it's not that free Tiger swag that we were so accustomed to seeing. I was listening to Jason Day yesterday and the day before talking about helping other guys, and he's like, what am I helping them for? Yeah. Like, he was so locked in. I mean, very supportive of other guys out there in the tournament.
Right.
But he is so locked in on what he has to get done. He believes he's the best.
Right.
Tiger, he's more what you just said. He's more excited about his personal comeback than his professional.
And it's an incredible one, too. I mean, it is. I know Phil doesn't move the needle, and you guys are needle-moving guys.
Yeah.
But Tiger's not Tiger right now. Phil is, I mean, we're talking about a guy that, if it weren't for Tiger, probably would have 60 wins instead of the number he has now, would probably have a few more majors, would have the Grand Slam in all likelihood. He played in the Tiger era. But I'm telling you, I mean, other than what the incredible Open championship that Tom Watson had when he nearly pulled it off, if Phil Mickelson is sitting there, think about it.
All right, welcome back. Time for Last Call. Callan, how excited should we be here in America about the World Cup coming home to America?
Well, the World Cup actually has been very kind to the home countries. We overperformed in 1994. If you look at the history of the World Cup, the home team plays better, gets an absolute momentum boost, energy boost from the crowds in the stadiums, and the comfort for a global sport. Listen, man, we're all global citizens, whether we want to embrace that or not, and I think it's huge.
I don't, but I don't want. But I will say this: I think Alexi nailed the point that kids all over America are going to have this date 2026 circled. There's some 13, 14-year-old boys and girls, or boys right now, dreaming about being in that World Cup here in America. It's going to do a lot for soccer here in America. All right, to LeBron, who says that playing with his son in the NBA would be the greatest achievement in his life. LeBron Jr. is currently 14 and a star basketball player, so it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Cowherd, do you think this could actually happen?
I don't. I think it would be cool. I mean, it's 5 years away.
Oh, I think it's going to happen. Honestly, look, I'm sure the kid's got some of LeBron's athleticism and genes, and now he's going to get the benefit of the best training possible. LeBron and his son will play in the NBA together. It'll be Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr.
All right, that's it for us.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.